up, man, what a difference. I'll never buy another compound, especially this back whole section. I can't even believe just the finish. I'm so impressed. Welcome back to another episode of Broke From Here, guys. If you are new to the channel and you like seeing cars go from being worth $500 to $5,000 in a short amount of time, then you're in the right place. Make sure to go down, click the subscribe button, and make sure to hit the notification bell. This way you get alerted when I put out 2 a week. If you're not new to the channel, then you know that previously we've been working on the Mustang. We finally got the Mustang fixed, my daily little driver beater. And then last episode, I finally put the radiator into the Hyundai. This should complete everything in the Hyundai Tucson. For those of you that are new, I bought a 2005 Hyundai Tucson for I think about $700 with 120,000 miles on it. It had a blown head gasket. It was out of time. It had horrible paint. Had a bunch of pieces missing from the car. Got a really good deal, but a lot of headaches. But for anyone who's starting out flipping cars, I do think this is where you want to start. You want to get a car that looks so bad, but you just take your time to fix. For me, with the momentum that I was having, this slowed me down a lot, along with us obtaining a salon, a hair salon, in the process of me fixing that up. Just brought this project way out. If you go back to basically what started this channel is the Dodge Grand Caravan. I did another car beforehand, but really what started the channel was the Dodge Grand Caravan that I bought for $500 or $600, and I sold it for $3,750. That is kind of what got me into the flipping full time. This is kind of the same deal. I got it for about $700. I think I might be able to get around 4 to 5. Depends how it all ends up. That's my hopes. Might get a little less, might get a little more. I doubt a little more. I might get a little less. But basically, in the past episodes, we've done everything, almost everything, from the cooling, water pump thermostat, head gasket, timing belt. Last episode was the radiator. We've done sanding, painting, clear coat, waxing, buffing, trim. We've replaced a door, painted the door, did body work, Bondo work, sanding work. A lot has been done to this vehicle. Now, as far as making the most out of a little, this car will do that just like the Dodge Grand Caravan did, I think almost a year ago now. But as far as time and effort, I've spent way too much time on this vehicle. I think I'm almost 3 months into this thing. Granted, I took about a month and a half on the hair salon. Still kind of working on the hair salon here and there. So I'm almost done with that. And this is just drawn it out way too far. But with that said, I have started to reach the end bits. So today, I do want to buff it again. I know I've already done it. The buffing compound I used barely got some of the sheen that I wanted, and then I ran out of the buffing compound and I moved up to polishing compound. And I was basically just creating a cheap fix. It didn't fix it. It made it look good for the pictures and for a little bit, but now it looks pretty bad. So what I want to do today is to go down, give the car a quick wash outside. I was originally going to go drive somewhere to wash it. It's not worth it. I just need to wash it to get it clear, get anything off of it, any type of old polish, compound, anything, and then I need to buff it again. Once I buff it, I'm gonna wash it one more time, and I'm probably gonna take like a toothbrush from my detailer kit with some literal Dawn soap and go clean off all the black trim, everything that has rubbing compound or buffing compound on it, just to get all those white marks off. Then I'll probably give it one more rinse, and then I want to throw on all of the parts of the car. So I can finally empty the inside. I can go to the recycling center tomorrow or today, whenever I figure it out. Basically, finally empty the interior so I can clean the interior. So that's my goal. I want to get to the point where I can clean the interior, hopefully tomorrow, at the very least get it started tomorrow. It's gonna be a couple noisy days, probably gonna annoy the heck out of Karen, but I really don't have an option. It needs to be done. So to get started, I'm gonna head down, start washing this thing up, and I'm gonna start buffing it, hopefully rinse it, and start installing the headlights, tail lights, the badges, the mirrors, the trim, everything that's left over that needs to go back on the car. So I'm gonna get after it. See you guys down there. All right, guys. That took, again, longer than I ever expected to. Probably about 2.5 hours later, but I will say I will never use another compound again. I can't even believe the difference from this to the Meguiar's that I was using. No hate on Meguiar's, it's more economical, costs a lot less. I think this was like 35 to 40 bucks for this 1 liter compound. And it's the new version. I can't even imagine what the old version used to do if people were complaining that the old one was way better. This thing's crazy. You can see, I mean, look at the reflection. Look at that. Just look at everything you can see off of my car. How crazy is that? Mind you, the paint still has a slight texture. I didn't block sand it hard enough, and I really didn't want to. The guys recommended that I shouldn't because that it was still a spray paint. It just adheres different, it's not as thick, and I totally get that. So luckily this has cured almost probably a month now. So I was able to rub on it a little harder, a little more aggressive than I would have when I first painted it. But man, what a difference. I'll never buy another compound, especially this back whole section came out immaculate. There was so much haze in here from the wet sanding. I can't even believe just the finish. I'm so impressed. Very happy. Anyway, with all that said, I do want to rinse it, wash it down quick, and make sure that there's not a bunch of swirl marks, which I think there probably is, especially on the roof. I can see some. But yeah, I do want to wash it down quick. Hopefully there's not many swirl marks. If there is, then I'm going to do a quick polish. I'm definitely not doing as long as I just did, just because I need enough to knock down those swirls, which usually isn't too bad. If I need to, I'll do that. Otherwise, I'll move on to start doing other things like putting the lights in, putting the trim back on the doors, putting the mirrors back on the doors, putting these logos back on, basically every little thing to tidy up the outside. So anyway, that is my goal. I'm gonna get after it. See you guys in a bit. All right, guys, I'm done washing the thing. It looks pretty good. I'm not worried about any swirl marks. Originally I was, but as I'm going through this, I don't see one swirl that's dried anywhere, especially in the heaviest compound areas, which was here, 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 and here. Those are the heaviest spots I hit. I don't see one swirlish mark. May come out tomorrow in the sunlight. I don't think so. It looks pretty good. Honestly, it looks better than when I used the finishing compound. So for right now, I'm not gonna do it. I also just can't see that well where some of the polish is still on here. I thought I washed it all off, so I want everything to kind of dry and give me those hints of where everything is so I can come back and get it off before hitting it with the finishing compound, because otherwise I'm just putting rubbing compound with finishing compound and kind of defeating the purpose of the finishing compound. So I think what I'm going to do right now is start installing the taillights, the headlights, probably the front grille, put the license plate back on so it doesn't get towed. Just a bunch of little things. I'm just going to kind of see what I can achieve to get done. Might put on the door trim, the mirrors, side markers, front little grills, shrouds, things like that. But yeah, I think I'm gonna hold off on the final wash for now. I do have to go get the tires on. I know they're gonna make the rims look like crud, so I might as well not waste my time right now. I'm gonna have to wash the car regardless when I get the tires done. So I think my energy is better served to get these other things on the vehicle. So that's what I'm gonna start doing. See you guys in a bit. All right guys, it's the next day. I think you saw that I pretty much got everything put back on the car. The only thing is the directionals. I couldn't find the screws. I couldn't find a lot of the screws. I always put them somewhere where I'm gonna find them easy, and then I never find them. So I have to find 2 screws to fit the directional little blinker things. But otherwise, everything else was installed in the car. The trim, the mirrors, the headlights, tail lights, grill's down below. Car's looking sharp, looking really sharp. And in fact, maybe we can get a good view from up here. I don't think this does it justice, but that car is sharp. I don't think there's any swirl marks. I just went out and looked. I kind of had to go grab water because I want to put distilled water in here to rinse out all the old water and rust and sediments and all that. I found like chunks of rust coming out in the fluid when I took the old radiator out. So I want to get distilled water. There's probably some regular still left over, but just to keep rinsing it, if I can, keep rinsing it out and out and out until I get rid of all the water with minerals in it. But yeah, the paint came out amazing. I could not be happier. I will never use another buffing compound. That thing is amazing. I see why people talk about glass finishes with the 3-step process of this. You do buffing, then there's a middle one, then there's finishing compound. Just awesome. Far better than I ever expected. I can't even believe it. It makes sense why it's 35 bucks compared to 27 for the cheap stuff. I'm very happy with it. I did miss 1 or 2 little spots, probably about that big, not too big. I'll probably just do them by hand quick, just to kind of get them. They're just still dull from sanding. I must have never touched them, probably afraid of burning through, so I probably avoided them. But there's just a couple little spots I need to hit quick. And then, like I said, I'm just gonna do it by hand, really fast and furious. Get it? But down to the tires. Things kind of got a wrench thrown in them again. I called around to get used tire prices. And I know tires are going up with lawsuits, and I don't know if a lot of you guys know this, but basically tire companies were supposed to be building tires more ethically and resourcing them more ethically, but certain tire companies were, so they had to charge extra. And then they realized other companies weren't because they were able to sell them for so cheap between making them, shipping them, getting them here, that it would just be almost impossible to make any money. In fact, you'd have to lose on every tire. So a big lawsuit, I guess, started to happen between the major brands. Something, I don't know, this is what I caught. But basically what it means is tire prices are supposed to like start skyrocketing. Skyrocketing, I mean, if you're used to paying 100 bucks a tire, then you won't be surprised. If you're not used to paying 100 bucks a tire, you should get used to it, kind of thing. But I started calling around all these used tire places, and the first place wanted $45 a tire, then an extra 5 bucks for mounting and balancing. So he wanted 100 bucks for 2 tires. He only had 2 available. So I called the next place to see if he had 4. He had 4. He wanted $250 for 4 used tires mounted and balanced. And I just thought that was silly. It's astronomical. It's ridiculous. I remember going to these same exact places and paying $25 a tire. It was 6 years ago, but even if it came up to $35 a tire mounted and balanced, it'd be acceptable. But I feel like every time I call them, the price keeps going up. And I don't know if it's because I have an added area code phone number. They think they can pull it on me, but something weird's happening. Regardless, I didn't like it. So I kind of started searching OfferUp, Craigslist, found a few places. I tried to reach out, see if I could buy personally from someone that had them. So I'm gonna wait on that. I'm gonna wait on the tires. I'm not gonna get this car done today. I wouldn't have time anyway. I'm always dreaming of how much I can get done in a day. But what I do wanna do is I want to go to the recycling area and get rid of the radiator and the old door so I can come back and vacuum this thing out. Last night, I don't know if I recorded, I don't know if you guys saw, but I took a bunch of trash out of the thing, just basic stuff in the way, along with old parts and stuff that just weren't usable. So right now I want to vacuum this thing, wipe it down, and start getting to the point of shampooing. So that's my goal for right now. We're gonna head to the recycling center. See you in a bit. All right, guys, I made it to the recycling center, got rid of the door, got rid of the radiator. As you can see, finally the back is open. I do want to clean up that little plastic trim, put that back on. In fact, I think I might do that now, and then I'll probably start cleaning the interior a bit. I still think there's a little bit that I can clean up in here. I think I got to put the little tire jack away, all the little tools for it away. I have an extra trim piece from the other door. Check this out, guys. I bought this thing, I think it was 10, 15 bucks. I look under the seat and I find it. Should always clean your cars first so you know what you're working with. Well, clean them out, get the garbage out. Oh well, and I don't know if you guys saw this thing, but I'm sure you could see in the video all the hopping. The struts are shot. The brakes sound pretty bad as well. They're definitely just scraping. I don't know if they need pads. All the pads seem to look good from here, but I'm gonna get down, check to make sure all the pads are good, see if the rotors are good. Brakes definitely need to be bled and some brake fluid added, or vice versa, put new pads on, then check the brake fluid. And I don't know if you saw, I was trying to show you, but the exhaust manifold gasket was smoking again. So thankfully I've learned what that smell is, and it's almost like a welding smell. And I don't know, it's just a burning metal smell, but it's similar to welding, almost there except cleaner. But yeah, every time you put on a new exhaust gasket, you can smell that smell for a bit. The good news is cooling stayed good, stayed nice. Tell you, there was no leaks, no explosions, ran normal. Does appear that the tank got hot, took all the water out of here, so I might have to top this off again, which is okay. Luckily, because the struts are so bad, the bouncing I think helped get all the air bubbles out of the system, but they are completely shot. Guys, I am totally regretting buying this car. At first I thought it would be cool, head gasket and paint. I figured probably a week each, maybe 2 weeks for one, 1 week for the other. I'm so bummed I bought this car. Sometimes when you buy them this cheap, they need everything. This guy got one over on me. He knew I was coming. I mean, to be honest, it was fairly priced, so maybe he didn't, but he did play like his father was a mechanic, he was a mechanic, they owned a shop. This has got to be one of the most beat cars I've bought that I keep having to replace everything. So I need to buy struts for this thing, tires for this thing, possibly brakes. I got to check that out. There's a rattling from the exhaust that goes through the car as you're driving and park, and when you pull up to a stop sign you can hear it like crazy. I already fixed the exhaust leak. The guy said that it was probably just a bolt on the exhaust manifold, and it ended up being a hole in the entire flex pipe that I already replaced. Still a little leak somewhere that I had to finish. Might need to get a rubber mount for the exhaust. I don't know yet. Just a lot of little things everywhere, but I am getting towards the tail end of it, I hope. I did realize I should have grabbed the stereo out of the other Tucson in the junkyard. I might go back and try to get that if it's still there. In fact, I might be able to check the photos to see if they already have an aftermarket or not. Yeah, guys, I'm totally regretting this buy. With that said, if you were new to flipping, this is the perfect car. You'd have a full-time job on the side, you'd have income coming in. You could take 6 months on this thing if you wanted to, but you could take $500 into $5,000 or $4,500, $4,000, whatever. You can make a nice profit. All money invested, maybe $1,200 into $4,000 or $5,000. So if you're starting out, this is the perfect thing where you don't have to worry. You can get it so low, invest so little, and make a good chunk. If you're living off of this, I've learned the hard way. Again, I have to stop buying these things that, although the money's big, it's got a big spread, maybe 3 times my money, it also will take me 3 to 4 times my time, and I have to stop doing that. So I think it'd be better just to double my money and take a week like I did with the Toyota. It was about a week's worth of work. Actually, it was like 2 days worth of work, and I just sat on it for 2 weeks while I was selling, but I more than doubled my money. So this car is just a big lesson for those who want to get into this. Those who already know are kind of laughing at me knowing this was a mess up. But yeah, kind of regretting this one. Slowed my rhythm down, mixed in with the Salon and everything else. It was the worst buy. I should not have gotten this thing. With that said, I do know that I can now do head gaskets on most cars. I've done it on this, the Audi, this Forte. I didn't do the head gasket, but I did do the timing chain. So I'm feeling comfortable getting inside the engine now. Now in the Mustang, I've ripped the transmission out, so I feel good changing a tranny. Basically, the last hard thing I haven't done yet is to pull an engine and then do like the crank and pistons. It's about the last bit I have left, along with maybe like I want to do a port and polish on something eventually. Anyway, I've been rambling for a little bit. What I want to do right now is to try to vacuum up a little bit, clean up a couple little things, just kind of see where I get as much as I can. I think I'm going to do that black trim. I have to see if I can find the double-sided adhesive. Anyway, I'm going to get after it. See you in a bit. All right, guys, I ended up cleaning up that little tailgate plastic cover thing. I was thinking I was gonna heat it, but if I heated it, it's so thin, I was afraid that I might actually melt it and start to warp it. It's pretty thin plastic. So instead what I decided was to paint it like I used to, and then I'll put the glue on it once the paint's cured in a couple of days. I'll flip it upside down, throw some double-sided adhesive on it. So all that will be in the next episode or the episode after, one of the two. Until then, I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your week, and I'll see you then. Later, guys.